It's an Airbnb. Well, not actually an Airbnb. Airbnb left China after realizing they couldn't keep up with the regulations, so instead it's a Mingsu, which my dictionary literally translates as a property rented on Airbnb, even though this is a service called Meituan, the mega app that's essentially Grubhub, Yelp, Fandango, City Bike, Expedia, and 75 other companies rolled into one. I'll call it an Airbnb though. We decided to stay here on a whim because this place is Xiangyang. It's not somewhere that I'd ever heard of or even really planned to go to. I just decided to stop here because it was within a 2.5-hour high-speed train ride from Wuhan during our trip to Dongbei to see the Manchuria region. Chinese people have heard of this place because historically it was a big deal. Though kind of everywhere in China was a big deal historically for one reason or another. Xiangyang is in northwestern Hubei province. Hubei literally translates to north of the river province. And it's like 300 kilometers northwest of Wuhan along the Han River. It's a small city of only several million people. For centuries, Xiangyang served as one of the most strategically critical military strongholds, like a gateway city between northern and southern China. Its ancient city wall was the front line. Armies fought over this city for decades, most famously during the Song Dynasty's 5-year siege by Mongol forces during the 13th century. A battle that effectively determined the fate of an entire dynasty. And yet, good luck finding someone outside of China who has ever heard of Xiangyang. This is the kind of place that I like to go to in China because it still shows its ancient background. Most big cities in China now are so rebuilt and modernized that they feel like everywhere else. Once a city gets past a certain threshold of development, it just becomes another dense high-rise jungle with kitschy building lights and chain restaurants. This place already has its share of those too. Luckin Coffee, Mixue Bingcheng, McDonald's, Cha Bai Dao, which in 2026 has now awkwardly been rebranded in English as Cha Panda. The more China develops and connects its cities with high-speed rail, the harder it becomes to tell them apart. Drop someone in the middle of a random block, good luck guessing where you are. Our Airbnb is the kind of place that was clearly trying, very low-effortly, to be photogenic. Quirky decor, a gimmicky round bed, clearly meant for a love room vibe. A QR code side table where you could pay 2 RMB for a condom. A bucket in the corner for middle-of-the-night dumps. Not kidding. And a helpful pack of cigarettes with an ashtray. Everything you need. You can only imagine the history of this bed. The kitchen sported a Nongfu spring water dispenser and individual cooking supplies for multiple tenants sharing the space. It was not gross, but I was not about to use it. The place was located in a gated residential community where elderly neighbors had strung a clothesline from the building entrance to a nearby light post and were playing cards underneath their hanging laundry. Not sure why they didn't just use the dedicated space in all the flats. Maybe they were worried that someone would climb up and take their laundry. That's why my unit had its suicide door locked. People in China, for the most part, don't use dryers, to the point where they would prefer to do this than buy a dryer, even when affording one or having space for one is not an issue. For what it's worth, dryers ruin good clothes. Not that these are particularly good clothes. For our first meal, we opted to try what this city is apparently famous for, the beef noodles. I have high expectations for beef noodles after everything I've tried in Taiwan, but even if I had low expectations, I probably shouldn't have tried it on Tourist Street. Because even though these look fantastic, they were not. What was super good though was these bings. I can't think of the English word for bing, so just go with it. It's a bing. There's something special about watching pros make their food. And there's something infinitely frustrating about seeing black painted steel utensils. Side note, don't buy black painted stainless steel if it's gonna be touching your food. Whoever thought it was a good idea to paint your utensils? It's absolutely obviously ending up in your food, and we already know that paint is not safe to eat unless it has lead in it. Whoever thought this was a good idea in the first place should be forced to drink paint. That being said, god damn was that a good bing. Maybe it's the paint. If you've ever been to the Great Wall of China, you'll know that it's not near anything. The point of the wall was to go through the middle of nowhere and act as a guard station and obstacle for invading armies. So when you get to the various places where you can see the wall, the food there is terra horrible, terror awful, terror bad. In Xiangyang, the wall goes straight through the middle of the city, meaning you can eat delightful food while staring at this magical piece of ancient history. Until it gets dark, and then they see the need to cover it in LEDs to make it look more Instagrammable. Or I guess more little red bookable. Regardless, this place feels real. It feels like a place. It's a feeling that not just China seems to be losing now as every place becomes the same place. But it's kind of interesting to see this wall of building lights, shining Communist Party slogans, across from the wall that was built to defend against 13th century Mongol armies. Imagine if those armies were able to fight in battle, and then once they made it over the city wall, they could get off their horses and have a Starbucks. The vegetable market further down the street was the kind of scene that's harder to find the more developed a city gets. Individual sellers, fresh produce. No factory farm or industrial suspended animation system to hold for months before reaching the store shelves. But very little regulation either. This might be the cleanest food you've ever eaten. It also might have been grown in a styrofoam box. But it sure beats buying your food at this grocery store where they're blasting the sale price of every possible item at the same time on full volume until you go deaf. Technology. Flatbread, that's what it's called.